Hey everybody, all right, we're recording. Good. I wasn't working before. Happy cold winter. It's Phoenix here and it's like 50s during the day and like 30s at night, so it's really cold. So I typically turn into kind of like a bear and get a lot lazier and sleep a lot more. In fact, I took in a little bit of extra work to trim my beard and mustache because I get really lazy in the winter because it's cold. But it was time to do a live column read and a catch up on my January, February column. So before I dive into that, and this is a really interesting one, I think for a lot of you will really enjoy this. Before I dive into this, the column is called Essence Contact, How to Achieve It and What That Is. So I would like, when I finish with the video, feel free to comment if you've experienced Essence Contact in the comment section. I might comment on your comment. But there's no wrong way to do that. I think for a lot of you, you're going to understand this really quickly and see how amazing it is to understand what this concept about. And for many of you, you probably have had this happen already many times, just never knew what it was or what to call it. So hopefully after today's video, you will know what that's all about. So again, comments are good. Like and subscribe if you're not already doing so. And let's kind of dive in. I'm going to do a live read here, paraphrase a little bit, but mostly read directly. So again, this column, the snake oil column, is called Essence Contact. So the first time I read about what Essence Contact was, I immediately understood what was being explained because I'd experienced this already many times during the first 2 decades of my life. I came across the concept when I was reading a series of channeled books called the Michael Teachings. I was about 21 years old at the time and knew that during my childhood, Essence Contact happened fairly often. Making that connection to my essence was fairly easy to do for I was hit with the pressures of who I was supposed to be, according to peer pressure, my parents' beliefs about correct behavior for family, what a religion told us to be, inevitably growing internal fears about my lack of self-worth. I wondered why I perceived many things so differently than a lot of people around me. Not uncommon for older souls when they're children. In spite of mounting fears, I still often had pockets of times when I felt just happy, like I belonged, even fit perfectly in the world because I was quite simply meant to be here. Even if I wasn't sure what that I was here for exactly, the fun and enthusiasm about the potential of life were still, fortunately, stronger than my fears. Okay, so what is Essence Contact? Essence is the core of who we are. There are 7 types of essences, some being more common than others. I go into this a little deeper in my notes in my column, if you subscribe that way. It is the role we become when we're cast. Now, that word means not thrown away, but by choice, from experience, cast from the Tao, or God, and begin to experience a series of lifetimes. In each reincarnation or lifetime, we're always the same essence, although astrology and overleaves are like life, goal, mode, and attitude. These will change to give us unique experience for each lifetime. Essence is the direct contact to our higher self. It is a bridge that connects us in an unbreakable way to the Tao or God. Commonly, when an individual experiences a near-death event and feel they saw God, in truth, it is far more likely that they're seeing essence directly. The magnitude of love from essence is interpreted as meeting God. The Tao itself is so enormous that it would be difficult for us to fully comprehend this while in a physical body. Experiencing essence contact happens when we're not actually trying to do it. It often feels like plugging into the present moment. It can feel like a circuit that completes or a light has come on and you just simply get it. When this occurs, it moves us immediately to the positive pole of our overleaves and our astrological wiring. Fear is not part of the experience, and may even temporarily move into what is known as the higher centers. It is a brief release from Maya, or forced personality. Time can seem elongated or even become meaningless. Often the magnitude of essence contact, however long or brief, afterwards can feel almost like that we are in a positive way burned clean or back on track. When I was a child, I often felt this during times of play, and I played a lot. I was so immersed into the joy of whatever I was doing, either alone or with friends, that I simply felt completely carefree. Often when I tried to play the same game another day or recreate similar events, it did not pack the same magical punch, even though it was still often fun. I once felt essence contact when I first was driving my first car at about the age of 17. and struggling with fear and doubt about my abilities to drive and do other adult things. I was waiting at a crosswalk when I observed a handicapped man in a wheelchair slowly passing me by. He was a character with colorful flags attached to his chair, a grin on his face, a holder for his beverage, and he just was excited to get across the street to his destination. I immediately felt connected to him. I was impressed with how he was just so fully himself, and just like I perceived him to be, my fears of inadequacy disappeared in that moment. It was a wonderful feeling of not only being happy, but he was perfect, I was perfect, and so was the world. And many times when I felt this way, this sense, when I was younger, when I was taking a hot bath in like my teen years, I would get an escape from my crowded house with 9 people that live there and finally get the bathroom to just be mine for 45 minutes. I frequently experienced essence contact when I snuggled in my bed with 2 large dogs in a New York winter. There were times when I would laugh so hard with my friends or even family that we cried because it was overwhelmingly funny in a really good way. I especially felt this when I was the one who actually started the contagious laughter. There were times during my artistic years when I was drawing a painting when I got so in the zone and just flowed and I created something amazing. I often felt essence contact when listening to music. There were so many songs that the list for me is really quite long. But a few examples would be the first time I heard And You and I by the group Yes, Secret Separation by the group The Fix, and more recently a song called Babylon by David Gray. Boom, right into essence contact. It is common for people to try to achieve a sort of essence contact with alcohol or drugs. There can be a makeshift form of essence contact that is stimulated this way. So while it is possible, it is far less desirable with these methods and often has uncomfortable repercussions. Often the belief that the drug is the way to get you there is greatly misconstrued. The achievement in essence contact is unique for everyone. A mother may feel essence contact during childbirth or when she holds her child for the very first time. Often through a connection with a partner during a period of early romance or later with sexual union, essence contact may occur when a shared link of chemistry is at play for a couple. A father may feel essence contact while walking his daughter down the aisle at a wedding or with the first father and daughter dance. A fireman may feel it while rescuing someone from a burning building. Any type of artist may feel essence contact when in their zone and just create something inspiring artwork. A traveler may feel this when going to a place for the first time and feeling that they are returning to something they have somehow already magically seen, or they are transformed by the customs of another culture. Watching one's family or friends enjoying themselves chatting and eating food you've prepared may trigger essence contact for some people. A performer on stage may fall perfectly into the role. They are performing during one particular show and everything seems to line up and they flawlessly become the character they were portraying. A soldier may feel this way at some point in a mission where he or she fully feels part of a team with a purpose. A religious individual might feel truly connected to God or Jesus in the Christian tradition during a religious service, singing in a choir, or any type of experience. Although sometimes this can lead to zealous dogma about it being the only way there. Listen, New Age people can do this too. The variations are infinite for essence contact. Experiencing any type of wonderful event, while amazing, is still noticeably different from actual essence contact. Mature souls tend to have more inclined to experience essence contact, though any soul age may do so. Older souls tend to get this experience more often and naturally because they tend to block the contact far less. This is why younger, again, this has nothing to do with chronological age, this is why younger souls often enjoy being around older souls without consciously realizing why. Essence contact can be contagious. Being around someone who is going through it or has it happen more frequently can act as a trigger for others. In one of the books I read on this subject, the author shares what an individual baby soul. Now, baby soul age is where one is all about setting up rigid rules and structures to follow in the lifetime, either comfortably or uncomfortably. When this baby soul, who is about the age of 20, is working as a camp counselor, he spontaneously pulls out his guitar in the evening when he and the children are sitting around a campfire. He plays the song for the preteen children, and many sing along and some even playfully dance. The hour flies by magically, and everyone has a wonderful time, including him. When he goes to sleep later in his tent, his thoughts quickly turn to worry and fear. He wonders if he somehow had inappropriate, even sexual feelings towards some of the children, and whether what he did was unclean or just wrong. He does not actually have inappropriate thoughts toward the children, but religious dogma, repressed sexual development, and beliefs that level of this type of happiness feels suspect, pushes fear, taints the ego, and forces him to rehash the event in a negative way. He inevitably quits his job the next day and decides it's better to never work around children again. He rarely allows essence contact again in this life after this experience. There is another way to achieve essence contact. It's during times of extreme suffering. There may be a physical crisis like a suicide attempt, notable despair, physical trauma, or painful loss when essence may step in and take over. This can often act as a reboot to the life purpose when one is falling too far off the larger life plan. Some near-death experiences after being revived physically because of the brief contact with the other world and essence will retract the individual to the original plan they diverged from. The contact with essence may create new purpose. In the sense, there's more to do in this life. When essence contact becomes more frequent, especially for mature older souls, it brings us back to ourselves. It's not uncommon for those around someone more aligned with their essence to think it is possible for them too. This can trigger something like, wow, what is it they have? I want that too. And maybe I can have it. Essence is love, and fear is the force that will block it. Fear in the physical world can be difficult to avoid, but by no means impossible. Fear is often sold in the media, praised by those in its grip as something to strive for, or may become part of an internal voice that can masquerade as practical and valuable, what I like to call hugging your cactus. Fear can be disguised as you'd be foolish to not listen to what I'm saying to you. While we can't strive for essence contact with specific formula, and there will unlikely ever be a pill to get us there, we can make essence contact more frequently. We allow more love of self and others, release judgment, spend more time in the present, allow others to be who they were meant to be, ourselves and others be who they're meant to be. This minimizes that voice of fear and naturally creates more opportunities to allow essence contact to occur, and this is a worthy endeavor indeed. Okay, I wrote that in early December, and let me get my glasses off here. And, I have always, again, as I mentioned in the piece, I've experienced this a lot of times. And when you have essence contact again, it's really notable. It's very, very unique. So it's amazing. It just recharges you. It gets you back into contact. You're released from fear, as I said in the piece. It's really amazing. So I encourage people to be open to it. And again, as I said before, if you have experienced essence contact, there's no wrong answer to this. Feel free to comment about that in my comments section. I'd love to hear your comments. It may take me a while to respond. I could be a little lame, but I usually will get to it. And it's a good thing. So again, happy start to a brand new year. Until next time, Jim Ventura here. Cheers.